Hi everyone, this is Molly McCord, and thank you for joining me in this video where we're talking about the very last full moon of 2018. And just a quick shout out to all of you. Thank you for joining me on my new YouTube channel. I just started it in March, and I'm so grateful to connect with so many of you around the world who also share an interest in astrology and learning more about it. So thank you so much for your subscribes, likes, comments, joining my email list, taking the astrology classes, all the good stuff. It's so wonderful to connect with you. And I know that we're going to have a lot more to talk about as we move into 2019. So in this chart, we're talking about the Cancer full moon, which is on December 22nd, 2018 at 12:48 p.m. in New York, New York. Please adjust according to your location on the planet. And in this full moon, I have 4 important things to share with you. 4 things we're going to cover that are the main points about this full moon. And the very first point is to realize that this is a full moon when the sun is at 0 degrees of Capricorn and the moon is therefore at 0 degrees of Cancer. So this is actually a solstice full moon. The winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere, the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere. Now, why that is significant is because in the northern hemisphere, where we're celebrating winter solstice, it is the darkest night of the year. It's when we have the least amount of sunshine. And yet at night, we're going to experience this bright, beautiful full moon. So it's not going to be the darkest night of the year. In fact, it will be very bright. So that alone brings in a certain energy around the winter solstice. It is an ingress chart, typically when we have the new season that begins. The winter solstice is the next 3 months and the next 3 astrological signs. Same for the summer solstice. It initiates a new season. So our new season here with this full moon is very bright. It's a very bright night. So that is the first point I wanted to share with you. The second thing I want to share about this full moon is that it is happening, as I said, at these 0 degrees of a cardinal sign. Now, the cardinal signs initiate the season. So like I said, this is an initiation of a solstice energy. And there is an initiation at the 0 degree of cardinal signs, which are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And the 0 degrees is called the Aries point. Now, there is no moon or sun in Aries, but it simply describes the Aries point is a beginning point. So it's literally a powerful beginning, a powerful new understanding of energies in this full moon because it's happening at the Aries point, which is a 0 degrees of Cancer. Now, this means we are bringing in a new start. 0 degrees of any astrology sign is the very beginning. So it's actually, you could round up to 1 degree here because it's 0 degrees and 49 minutes. But I think it has significance that it's at the 0 degree Aries point. And it's significant because we are truly looking at the next season of our lives and what we find meaning in. Cancer is about what we hold in our hearts, where we feel safe, where we feel at home, where we go to retreat, take a break. You know, it's where you want to relax and rest, kick up your feet and binge watch your favorite shows. These are Cancer traits. It's where you go to be alone and what that means to you. So what is your definition of home? What is your definition of a sanctuary? Because this Cancer full moon is asking you to be aware of that. And it's opposing the energy of Capricorn, which is about who we are out in the world, how we're known, what we contribute, our job title, our public status. It's your professional world, typically, is what Capricorn is known for. It's where you really feel a need to be responsible or committed. It's where you're disciplined. It's where you have to show up in the world. But then this is the energy of where you want to go to basically show up in your heart. So this axis here between the moon in Cancer and the sun in Capricorn is also known as the parental axis, and it's where we look to basically balance our lives between the external and the internal. And this Cancer full moon is bringing this into your awareness, where you've been doing too much, where you've been too out there, where you've been too much in your external or Capricorn energies. It does depend on where the Capricorn is in your chart, because we've all been working with the Saturn energy. Saturn is here now at 10 degrees of Capricorn, 17 minutes. And of course, Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. And Pluto is now at 20 degrees of Capricorn, 17 minutes, finally entering the third decan of Capricorn, where it will now stay for the next number of years. So we've been very aware of these Capricorn energies. And now the sun is here once again, and there is this highlight, a spotlight on, okay, you've been doing all this. And with the sun at 0 degrees, there's a sense of you that knows, okay, I'm making new commitments. The end of the year, the beginning of the year, resolutions, intentions. There's a part of you that looks at the year that you just completed, as well as the year ahead. So the mountains you have climbed and the next mountains you are ready to climb. That's why I love how Capricorn straddles both years, because it gives us a sense of achievement, accomplishment, and then to look to those next goals and those next external energies that we want to experience. Well, this full moon is saying you can still focus on that, and in fact, you will. That will always be important. But don't forget what you need at the end of the day, and don't forget your heart. Don't forget what has meaning to you, and understand that this is something that's going to have a big theme going forward. Now, why is that? Well, that's the third point I'd like to make in this chart for you. The third point is that we have this full moon at 0 degrees of Cancer, and we have the North Node here having just entered Cancer, now at 28 degrees of Cancer, 3 minutes. And so these are bookends. In your chart, there are two energies now calling you back to what has meaning. And this is interesting around the holidays, of course, because Cancer is nostalgic. It is days of past. It's your early childhood, how you grew up, how you experienced holidays, whatever you may celebrate, if you celebrate. This is a time of remembering the best days of your childhood, perhaps, your family traditions. Cancer is our family. It's where we came from. So there's a sense here of, I remember when. And you think back to what those previous Decembers were for you, or those previous holiday seasons. But this is also showing us what we have to be in touch with, the parts of ourselves that we're learning to trust in a deeper way. So the moon is just entering Cancer, and it's moving forward. The North Node has entered Cancer and is moving backwards. It just entered in November. And so there's a bookend here, the bookends of Cancer, that are showing you that you're going to be returning to something in your heart. You're going to be returning to what home means to you, to what you need and how you want to live. How you want to live your life. And this full moon could really bring up some new revelations, something that you forgot, something that you put aside because it didn't match up with what you were achieving in the world. That's Capricorn. And so this full moon is asking you to come back to your heart and come back to what matters to you on a daily basis. And don't lose that. don't lose that. And in fact, there's an innocence here with Cancer. Cancer is how we receive. We learn to receive emotions. We learn to receive love. We learn what it means to feel safe with our feelings. So you're returning to the sanctuary within yourself where, yes, you are your own adult. That's the Capricorn energies reminding you that you're in charge of your own life. You are the authority. You are the decision maker. But you have a heart and you have these parts of yourself that are going to be teaching you new areas of life that perhaps you put aside, you forgot, but they have new meaning to you now. And because this is a full moon on the winter solstice, remember, it initiates a new season in your life. There's a revelation here around what you want the next season of your life to include and where you have felt out of balance, where you started something that at first was important to you and now it is not. And you've learned on your journey, on your path, that maybe home is what I create for myself and it's where I go and it nurtures me and it's right for me. And that's something that I can hold dear and no one has to know about. It doesn't have to be anybody else's definition. This is related to how you trust yourself. And if you're trusting your feelings, if you're listening to the messages that are coming up for you, and how this energy is likely going to really shift what you do in the world. Because there's a sense here, and it's actually going to be in effect for a few years, this energy. And I'll talk about that in a moment. There's a sense here that if you've been overdoing the Capricorn, you've been staying too long at the office, you've been trying too hard or working too long to obtain something, you've stretched yourself, you stressed yourself out, or you reached that mountaintop, you reached that goal, you got that job title, and then it just feels empty. So this full moon is asking if you have an emptiness that needs to be fulfilled, and if so, the answers are actually not out there in the world. The answers are within you. The answers are actually back here, and you have to listen. Cancer's quiet. It speaks softly. It talks to us in a way that shows us what we forgot, what we left behind. Now, getting back to this North Node at 28 degrees of Cancer, it's actually squaring Uranus. And Uranus is here 28 degrees of Aries and 41 minutes retrograde. This is where there's a realization that I have to go somewhere that matters to me. I can't go somewhere that I thought I wanted to go. Uranus moves quickly, and in Aries, it's very independent. It's very fast. It's breakouts. It's like, I'm done, right? And you like give your notice at 3 p.m. and you're gone by 5. It's very quick moving, and it's a realization that I am not happy, but it's because that isn't me. Uranus in Aries is connecting you with your true sense of self, and that is what you determine for yourself around what you need, who you are, and your self-identity. And so Uranus squaring the North Node is saying, is this where you want to go? And then if you do not know, this could feel frustrating. It can feel impatient, but it's meant to have you do this quick check-in, like so you don't waste time. Okay, because Capricorn energy takes its time and it moves slow and it won't take a risk. But this is like a fast moving sense of, I know what I want. Now it can be too fast. So you're meant to not act in haste, but to realize that's what this message is that you change paths when Uranus squares the nodes, because the nodes are where we're growing. So you leave behind something that used to matter to you, which is this Uranus squaring the South Node in Capricorn. You're leaving behind the corporate job because you really want to be that entrepreneur, or you really want to work at home, or you really want to do something that you've always dreamed of. It's like the childhood dream, which they say is one of the most important ways to check in on your life path. Like when you were younger, what was your dream? And are you following that path? Is that still something that resonates and calls to your heart? You might get a check-in around that energy. So Uranus squaring these nodes is really breaking you out of what's not you. And it's showing you that you're going to you could feel it really strongly, especially if you have any planets or points at that 28 degrees of the cardinal signs, or 28 degrees of the fire signs, especially, because it's saying, I'm out of here. And you've known it for a while because of this retrograde. The planet was here back in the springtime, March, April. And so it's revisiting something that was important to you then. And now you're saying, does this still matter to me? Is this still what I want? And if it's a yes, especially a strong yes, it'll be something that breaks you out and breaks you free. Now, the other thing that's really cool about this powerful full moon is that we have support here from Chiron that's trining that north node. And then Mars at 23 degrees of Pisces is approaching a conjunction with Chiron and will also be trining the north node. So you're getting lots of energy here towards this north node at 28 Cancer. So this has a lot of power. This has a lot of power right now. And this trine from Chiron is showing you what you've been healing and what you have healed at this point. Chiron is now direct at this full moon, and it's leaving Pisces. So it's going to be done with Pisces here in early 2019. It will never pass this way again, and at least not for the next 49 to 50 years. So you have something that you realize that you must complete in order to move and follow these messages in your heart. And then the Mars energy here, the Mars in Pisces is actually not at its strength. It's not at its best, but it knows that it must be trusting and surrendering. And so this conjunction between Mars and Pisces could actually bring up impatience. It can bring up a fear. It can bring up a loss of confidence. So be aware of that. The other side of that coin is that the Mars and Chiron together are reminding you that you're not alone on this journey, that you have a spiritual presence, and to go to your spiritual gifts, your intuitive self, for answers and for trust as the divine timing connects and things come together. So that's important too, because again, this is a big illuminating full moon. And because it's on the solstice and it's at that Aries point, it has a sense of a turning point, some kind of turning point to initiate the new season in your life, literally the new season. Now, the third point I told you was how there were these bookends in Cancer, really bringing in the Cancer energy for us to learn from and pay attention to, especially with this energy from the outer planets here and Mars onto the North Node. And there's one more thing that's really important here. This is the last Cancer full moon before the January 2020 eclipses that are huge, that astrologers are already talking about because it's so big. And the January 12th, 2020 it's a lunar eclipse in Cancer. And by that point, by January 2020, there will be 5 planets in Capricorn opposing the moon in Cancer. So in this full moon, right, got the Cancer full moon, and then there's 3 planets here in Capricorn, and only the sun is opposing the moon. But we know that, like I said, we've been working with Saturn and Pluto for a while. But by the time January 2020 begins, we will also have Jupiter in Capricorn, Mercury in Capricorn. They're all going to be conjunct together opposing the moon in Cancer. So I feel like this energy really, again, initiates something we're meant to know. We're meant to see, we're meant to understand. And I feel it like forces are gathering. Forces are gathering in Capricorn. Capricorn energies are going to be going through huge, permanent transformations. And all that energy is going to be blasted at that moon in Cancer, which is sensitive, emotional, caring. And it's like we're really getting a heads up or a new awareness around where we need to be emotionally stronger with this full moon. And that's just good to know in your chart and in the world in general, because the energies of the January 2020 eclipses are world changing. And that's not hyperbole. There's a lot there that's going to be significant for us as a human family. And I'm going to have another video for you on those energies as well. But please know that there's something here in this Cancer full moon at the 0 degree Aries point on the winter solstice or the summer solstice that brings in a new awareness around how we are growing, learning, and really honoring these Cancer energies that we can easily push aside or downplay or not give much attention to. Cancer is the mothering, feminine energy, how we are taken care of by ourselves. It's about self-care. And it's about knowing that we need people we feel safe with. We need that tribe, the people who understand you. And it can just be one person. It doesn't have to be 54. But it's where you feel safe to share your heart, share your feelings. And at the same time, continue to trust yourself, to trust those messages, to trust what you feel. So I feel like this Cancer full moon is a reality point check-in for how you're trusting and honoring these Cancer areas of your chart. And that's where we're going to be continuing to grow over the next few years, especially because we're going to have more eclipses in Cancer and Capricorn that are going to highlight these parts of your chart as well. So it is a big time as we close out 2018. This is the last full moon of 2018, as I said, and then in January we start eclipses. January 5th is a new moon solar eclipse, and then 2 weeks later we will have a full moon lunar eclipse. So January is going to kick off 2019 in a big way. Of course, I'm going to have videos for you that go over those charts. But I feel like these are the biggest energies right now. If you're familiar with these charts, you can see that there are other energies in play here. And I talk about these as well in my weekly podcast that's live every Wednesday, and I upload it to YouTube every Wednesday as well. And we've been talking about these energies through the weeks here. But there's also this lovely trine between Neptune and Venus. Venus is at 14 degrees of Scorpio, so she's halfway through. She's been in a lot of Scorpio energies, but she's getting the supportive trine from Neptune at 13 degrees of Pisces, and Neptune is now direct. So they're both direct and they're working together in harmony. Neptune is helping Venus let go of her fears, anything that she's held back, where she's been too overly concerned about other people or money or her ability to love herself. She's getting wonderful support here from Neptune, who's helping her see the bigger picture, who's saying, you are a vessel of love, and anything else you've taken on is other people's stuff. So let's let that go. And that is a wonderful support there. Venus also has been getting strength from Saturn at 10 degrees, and that's been giving her strength in her spine, in her backbone, in her sense of self, in her ability to see where she's going for the long term. And pretty soon, Venus will be making a really nice sextile to Pluto at 20 degrees of Capricorn. That will happen before the end of the year, and that gives her more power and strength too. So Venus is on a really great journey right now in understanding what she's capable of and what she's here to create and transform in herself. So this is great to see because this is really where Venus is ready to get a whole new sense of herself. And then finally, we have this big duo here. We have Jupiter and Mercury conjunct in the buoyant, happy Sagittarius energy. They just made a conjunction about a day or so before this full moon. And these two together are the good time crew. I mean, they laugh big, they travel, they're wanting to make plans. I mean, this is a time of really scheduling what you want to do in 2019. What are the projects, ideas? Who do you want to work with? Where do you want to go? All of this is really highlighted here. Now, be aware that it is squaring Neptune. Both of these planets in Sag are approaching a square to Neptune, which can give you a sense of, but how? How is it going to happen? How is it going to come together? It can lack that clarity or lack the certainty of the plan. It's a great big dream and you want to go for it, but it might not be clear with this approaching square to Neptune. So know that it might not be something you plan on just yet. It's the idea, it's the concept, it's the possibilities. And then when both planets move past the square to Neptune, then they'll have more understanding of what they can really do together and what will work. So if something feels fuzzy, I mean, you just look too at this time of the year and people on vacation, that's a big energy as well in this square. It's like, I don't want to do anything responsible. I want to go have fun. I don't want to work. I just want to do my own thing. So that's actually one way that this energy between these two planets in Sag squaring Neptune energies can show up, because you can be like, I don't want to do anything and I'm going to turn off my phone so nobody can find me. That could be a strong possibility too as we end out 2018. So again, this is a big full moon. It is on the solstice. It is at the Aries point. It involves this new energy of Cancer that's really being initiated and coming through with both the full moon in Cancer and the North Node in Cancer. And it's that last Cancer full moon before the really powerful January 2020 eclipses that will be significant. So we have some messages to be aware of here and some things to understand about ourselves, and give love, give honor, give respect to the Cancer energies in your chart. And of course, also give that to yourself, and understanding that you have had a big year and we can lose track of everything we've been through this year. But this full moon, again, you can reminisce and you can look back on how far you've come, what you've been through, how you've grown, how you've healed, what you've learned. All of that is really strong at this full moon. And so I hope that you connect with those parts of yourself that have become stronger, that have become clearer, that have really supported who you are now, and that this full moon helps you to stay open to this next season of your life and what is truly best for you. Thank you so much for joining me, friends. You'll find more details below this video about my current offerings and other videos that I offer. I'm so grateful for each of you. Thank you for connecting here on YouTube, and I look forward to starting 2019 with you as well. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.